On Greeny Sports Cards Live, we'll recap and review the weekend that was the extraordinary Great Lakes Collectors Convention and Strongsville Collectors Convention. Joining us will be Thomas Fisher and Michael Milbourne to give us their feedback on the modern and vintage pavilions, respectively, plus an interview by special correspondent Kenny Rhoda with Pro Football Hall of Famer Joe Thomas. It's all coming up on Greeny Sports Cards Live, episode 112. And the party continues this evening. There is no rest for the wicked or us here at Greeny Sports Cards. We are here on Tuesday night, as we are every Tuesday, Greeny and I, for Greeny Sports Cards Live. We've been doing this every week for well over 2 years now at this point, bringing you the latest news and views from the hobby world, athletes, influencers, interviews, and content as it relates to the hobby. And there was no shortage of that this past weekend when the Great Lakes Collectors Convention presented by Greeny Sports Cards got together with the Strongsville Sports Collectors Convention and had just a remarkable weekend here in Northeast Ohio. We will get to all of that. We will give you all the news that's fit to print. We will welcome in from Gemini Sports Cards, Thomas Fisher, who will give his feedback and perspective on the modern side. We will welcome Michael Milbourne, who spent his time on the vintage side over on the Strongsville side. And we'll get two different perspectives from boots on the ground and the dealers who were right there in the thick of it for 3 days. And Greeny and I have a ton of other content to get to, some celebrity insights, some videos, content. We just had a weekend. Honestly, it's a blur at this point, but the energy is high. It exceeded our expectations, and we had pretty high expectations for it. So we can't wait to get into it with you. If you want to comment and join the show, please do from whatever multi-stream platform you are watching. You can add your comment or questions to the show. We will incorporate that with our guests, and you can be part of the conversation as well, whatever channel you are watching on. And we appreciate our audience that continues to grow week over week and participates, and just the content that comes out of that. Out of these shows, the reels and the interviews and the insights, we continue to populate throughout the week, and you guys keep consuming it. So we'll keep doing this. So tonight, in addition to Tom and Mike, we will have special correspondent Kenny Rhoda from 1480 WHBC Radio in Canton. He spent time with Joe Thomas out at the show. So we have a special interview segment, Ripping with the Rhoda from the broadcast lounge that was driven by Lake Erie golf cars out there this past weekend. So you get a Hall of Famer in Joe Thomas, you get Hall of Fame personalities in Greeny, Tom, and Michael, and you get me as well, Jeremy Levine, as I join you guys every Tuesday. So what else do we have going on? We have a question of the week. We have, a lot of good stuff for you this evening. So let's go ahead and get to it. We will welcome in the man who actually has his very own walk-up music in Greeny Sports Cards. So let's go ahead and welcome in Steve Greenberg, a.k.a. Greeny.
Very cool. Very cool. Very fun weekend. My feet are still recovering from all the walking myself and my trusty table did all over the card show, but we had a very nice time. It was, you're right, it was a blur. There's so many things that we did, so many things I wish we did that I'm like, man, should have done that, should have done this. But all in all, it was a great time. We fixed a few kinks, and we'll learn, and next year we'll do even better.
We will, and we're going to get to all that. We've got a full hour to talk about the show and to share some content. Before we get into that, we're going to give you some of the quick hobby hits of this week, and then we'll turn our attention fully to the Great Lakes Collectors Convention and Strongsville. So before we do that, your quick hobby hits of the week include Topps NFL Era, which will officially begin here very shortly, tomorrow, actually, April 15th, as collectors are gearing up for the historic return of Topps NFL trading cards, with 2025 Topps Chrome Football leading the wave. Pre-orders actually open on April 3rd, and hobby boxes hit shelves tomorrow, making it the first authentic NFL licensed Topps product in over a decade. The record March $1 million sales set the tone for April buying window. Athlon reports that March delivered multiple seven-figure transactions, including a $5.2 million Aaron Judge superfractor and a $2.16 million Otani Judge dual logo man that was actually hit here in Northeast Ohio, creating what analysts call the strongest April buying window in years. Donruss Baseball 2026 brings the spring's strongest rated rookie chase. Panini's April 29 flagship drop features a deep prospect lineup, black parallels, and one-on-one chase cards from names like Eli Willits, Ethan Holiday, and Paul Skeens. Already projected to move fast in the secondary market, collectors are targeting early rookie parallels and low number prism hits. And that's your quick hits for the week. Welcome Greeny back in here and jump into Strongsville. Green, I want to set the stage a little bit as we segue from hobby hits, hobby news. We've aggregated a bit of the feedback and what we're hearing, and overwhelmingly positive, as you referenced. There were things that need to be worked out, parking in particular, and we'll address that. We did over the weekend. When you have two huge enterprises coming together, we expected some of that, anticipated some of that, but we'll learn from it. When you get into the space, you see how humans use it, and you can adjust from there. But the first ever co-located GLCC in Strongsville show delivered one of the biggest hobby weekends of 2026. Collectors, dealers, breakers, content creators, they all flooded Independence Fieldhouse as the two shows combined into a single unified experience. It was the largest show in the U.S. this past weekend. Attendance surged across all 3 days. We're still processing all the numbers across the board, but really vendors reported continuous traffic across all 3 days on a national level. Strongsville's legacy vintage dealers and GLCC's modern family-friendly energy, it blended into a format that many attendees did say they want to see again. Trade night shattered expectations with its largest turnout yet on the vintage side. And as I said, early vendor feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. Attendee feedback's been positive. It exceeded our expectations from that standpoint, Greeny. I think it was pretty remarkable. You hope for the best. You never know when you try and put these things together and in partnership with the Strongsville team. And where's your head at today?
Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. There were so many things that, before it started, like, all right, we're really going to do two gyms. We're not going to put the autographers in with the same. Thankfully, we had two gyms. It wouldn't have fit, right? And not because we couldn't have made it fit with the tables, but if you would have had all those people in that room at one time, right? So things like that, keeping the two sides, the Strongsville side, the Great Lakes side, it worked. There were things that we were a little reprehensive about, but at the end of the day, people did some walking. They went to both sides. I know people that bought cards from both sides. I know people that sold cards to people on both sides. So, it really worked. And you kind of trust the process, as they say, and you put people in the right place that know how to put events on and how to structure things. And, it seems to work.
It did, and the one thing I do want to address, Greeny, because it was the one thing that stuck out from this weekend is the parking and the traffic. And the reality is, it wasn't a surprise. We certainly anticipated a large contingent of people descending on the venue. There was a valet parking program in place. We had Lake Erie golf cars come on board with at least 6 golf carts that were running shuttles the entire time for vendors and attendees. There is over 1,200 parking spaces within that footprint immediately on the campus. The reality is the hobby is at such a point where the show had a lot of people coming to it, and those are the things we can address. We've already talked to the city and had some ideas on how we can alleviate some of that, how we can have better signage and flow, and even by Saturday and Sunday we had figured out some of that nuance. But outside of that, there's all the things we can take a look at are really just amplifying on the success of this year. So um, I'm ready for a nap or two, quite honestly.
Yeah. So listen, the parking, we could. We'll have more golf carts next year. We do know of some extra parking lots that we can use. And listen, the valet did a great job. They figured out a pathway to move cars to one area. That's it. You're right. More signage. We probably should have had some signs on the road that said was a valet available, because when people pulled down the residential side streets, they just, but and
Absolutely. Those are things we will learn from. We want to thank. There's so many people to thank, Greeny, and so many people that showed up that I know I'm going to miss some because it was all a blur. But the sponsors who participated with us, these things don't happen. It takes a village of stakeholders, of the vendors, the sponsors who help uh, supplement, which is a very large expense to put these things on, between the venue and the security and the staffing and tables and decorating and all of those things. And it doesn't happen without those partnerships. And want to give a big shout out to the Greeny team, particularly Jessica Kerr on the project management side, Amber Phillips on the media production side, Adam Byers, who handles all of the communication with the vendors and moving people in and out. It was just incredible. Haley behind the scenes, Drew behind the scenes, all the media partners and production assistants, and then the Strongsville team themselves, led by Steve Menzie, Mikey Singer, and Laura Dreyfus, and their respective teams. It was an extraordinary collaboration in that the synergy between the teams and the collaboration in the spirit of, yes, we have vintage dealers. Yes, we're talking about modern dealers in the modern pavilions, but let's do this in the spirit of the hobby, what's right for the hobby, giving attendees the right experience. And we'll hear, we've got Tom and Mike coming on board here in a little bit to get their perspectives of what they heard on the floor. But I just wanted to thank them in particular, and anybody else we may have missed, Greeny. I'm sure there's some out there.
yeah, what's interesting too is, you and I and Jessica, and we had plenty of meetings and Zoom calls with the Strongsville team, week after week preparing for this. But at the end of the day, I had met Steve in person. I don't know that you ever did, but that was really the only people that we have met in person. And when we got together, it really worked. They did their thing. Their autograph pavilion that they worked. I mean, they knew exactly what they were doing. We had the whole broadcast stage. We knew what we were doing. And really the main field house, we each worked our sides. We worked it perfectly. We walked around each other's sides. I mean, it really was kind of a really good match, and it worked very well.
And it worked. Haley, let's hear from a couple of those vendors here on their way in, their way out. Vendor exit interview.
What's up, everybody? My name is Alex. I'm the owner of Outlaw Collectibles. Talking about my experience here at the Great Lake Collectors Convention. I believe this is year 4.
Hey, this is Jonah with Cards in the Land. We're card shop over in Chagrin Falls, Bainbridge area at 306 and 422.
Yeah, so my name is Mike with Mike's Pokestop. It was our first time at this show, and we had a fantastic time. Friday was pretty packed. Most Fridays at shows we go to are pretty slow, but we had a great time here. Saturday was really, really good. We definitely sold a lot of cards, and we bought a lot of cards as well. And then Sunday as well today, we had a great time.
Since they added on the Strongsville Vintage Show, it's obvious the amount of attendees has risen substantially. I could say from what we even saw year over year, it was a pretty darn cool jump up.
Steve put on a great show here with the food trucks. Security that they even had here was awesome as well. At night, we could leave our stuff here. We really appreciate that. We had a great weekend here.
Had a great time here at the GLCC Strongsville Vintage Show. And as always, really appreciate Greeny for putting this event on and can't wait to come back.
Yeah, I definitely think we will come back to the show for sure in the future, 100%.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for having us, and you will see Outlaw Collectibles here next year. Thank you.
Really appreciate all of our participating vendors on both sides, both pavilions, and the customers as well. This doesn't work without the attendees showing up in droves, buying and selling. And let's hear from one of those happy customers right here as well.
Well, this is my first ever card show, first and foremost. So I was a big sports card guy for the last about year and a half, but I've transitioned into Pokemon. And so I didn't really come here expecting there to be a lot of Pokemon, but to my surprise, it's everything that I've hoped for. Like I said, this is my first ever card show. So I've had an extraordinarily pleasant time. Every dealer that I've had, every vendor that I've interacted with has been completely fair to me. I don't think anybody's tried to rob me, at least on my knowledge, but just the hospitality of the workers here, the people who are checking your bands, make sure that you are even allowed to be here, are fantastic. And I really don't know if something can top this just on the hospitality alone. It's been a fantastic experience. I will make sure to come back whenever this sports show goes on again, whenever the next one is, and we'll go from there.
We'll take that.
Well, that's good. Yeah. Listen, that is one of the things we strive to do is be hospitable, right? You know, it's one thing to just put on a card show, open the doors, and let people have at it, but we really want them to have a good experience while they're at the show.
Absolutely. And I had a chance to talk to a couple people about that over the weekend. There are so many stakeholders, and they're all coming to the show for different reasons. You've got sponsors, you have vendors that are selling. You want them to have a smooth experience coming in and moving out. You have any number of attendees that might be just walking in that want to get something authenticated. They might be showing up for an autograph. They might be showing up to look for that Mickey Mantle card. And so you have to create an environment, or try to, that appeals to all of that. And again, it takes great partners. The City of Independence that was willing to work with us, from the police to EMS, the responsiveness of the city, cooperation of the venue. It really takes a lot of partners. So, Greeny, our question of the day that we will throw out to everyone, and we encourage your comments in the comment section, and we'll ask our guest tonight as well. But do you only collect specific genres? Meaning, this was a vintage pavilion, there was a modern pavilion, there was TCG. So do you only collect specific genres, or does your collection span multiple categories? So we want some feedback there of where the collectors' heads are these days. Are you strictly a vintage collector, or are you open to multiple different genres and themes? So go ahead and drop a comment, whatever platform you are consuming this show on. We appreciate the participation. So with that, let's before we bring on Tom and Mike, we do have a video that was taken of Tom at the show. Haley, let's run that and see if Tom feels any different after he's had a few days to think about it.
Perfect. I'm Thomas Fisher, Gemini Sports Cards. I've been doing shows now for 38 years, and I always love coming back to Northeast Ohio. We definitely do not miss the Great Lakes Collectors Convention. They just don't throw a show in the calendar and say, here's a show. They actually promote it and run it great. So I expect incredible traffic, nonstop activity all weekend long. Man, what a great show so far. The dollar boxes have been absolutely slammed. We've sold through 4 or 5 boxes so far. And then our showcases, all the vintage cards are gone. The Victor Wembanyama's are gone. There's an entire case of Cleveland stuff is gone. My only problem right now is carpal tunnel from counting cash.
We should all be so lucky.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Yes, we should be. Granny, one of the biggest strengths of this year's combined weekend was seeing two different parts of the hobby, actually three technically, the modern, vintage, and TCG thriving under one roof. So tonight we wanted to hear directly from people who lived it on the floor. Joining us are two dealers who represent both sides of the hobby. We've got Michael Milborn from the vintage side, the Strongsville Sports Collectors Convention, and Thomas Fisher of Gemini Sports Cards. He'll be commenting on the modern side of the drape line. They saw crowds, they saw buying, they saw trading, they saw the energy. And they can tell us better than anyone what this weekend felt like directly from their table and on the floor. So with that, let's welcome in two guests who have been with us before, and we welcome them back anytime they can join us, Tom and Mike.
Hello, gentlemen, and Mike.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah. I knew that one was
There we
coming.
go.
That's always the perfect way to start off.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Two of the
Tom.
hardest working guys in the industry, and Mike.
Yeah, fair enough. We appreciate it. We appreciate you joining us. We also appreciate you both being at the show. Tom on the modern side and Mike on the vintage side. So let's start with Mike, because this show was billed as the Strongsville's first time over here, and I know that people were really nervous about how that was going to work. It's reputations, but we had people calling. There was all of these message boards you can see, but in reality, at the end of the day, I think it worked out in the best. What was it like on that side, on the Strongsville side, and what were people saying about the turnout?
It was packed on our side. That on Friday especially, probably one of the bigger crowds I've seen in several years. And I think dealers overall, once they kind of got over that initial shock of new location and the parking and all the other things that sometimes the vintage guys like to complain about because we don't like change, I think then everybody was fine. Once customers came in and they were spending money, I think all that went away. After that, you really didn't hear a whole lot of complaints. So, if they were, then I don't know what to tell them. So, it was Friday. Great crowd all 3 days, really, even Sunday, but Friday was unreal right from the start.
Could you tell that people were going to both sides of the room? Did you? Yes, you've seen people you've never seen before. That's going to happen at every show. But did you see younger people walking around on the vintage side?
Yeah. Absolutely. I had people buy cards. I had a guy who looked like, he was probably not even 20 years old, buy a bunch of 1960 tops from me. So definitely, which as a guy who does vintage, I like to see. It's good to see the older guys. You expect that, but it's good to see younger faces because those guys are going to be around. So that's always encouraging. Saw a lot of people I've never seen before, which is also good. So yeah, I did. There were still a lot of younger guys. There are a lot of younger guys that are into vintage, for sure. And you see it, at every show, not just this one specifically. So that's a good sign for things. At least from where I sit, it definitely is.
Tom, you had a unique position on the floor in that you were that corner booth right at the turn around the drape that divided the vintage pavilion and modern. You might have been the first person people talked to coming around that corner. So what was the vibe like on your side of the table?
It was really interesting that they knew there were two shows in one, but they almost didn't think about the second show after going through all the vintage. Because again, the Strongsville show is the iconic vintage show in our industry. It draws thousands every single year. So once they would go through that side, then they're like, oh my goodness, there's a whole nother side over here. So once that initial shock of, I've never been to a 450, 500 table show, what do I do? So it's almost like when they came around that curtain, they kind of just had to gather themselves and be like, okay, now what was I looking for? What am I after? What am I doing? But yeah, I was talking to a buddy yesterday and I said, Strongsville doesn't need Great Lakes. And Great Lakes doesn't need the Strongsville show. but together they are incredible. I said, so I really hope this union stays together, and we can continue to watch this thing grow.
As do we. We all had our trepidations. We didn't, because we actually combined with them, and we're like, we're going to make this work. It's the vendor and customer experience that we hope that we could merge together seamlessly. And man, I think it did. I think it came off without a hitch. I think people were on both sides of the show. I know there were some that, they don't collect moderns. They didn't even go over there at all. But I know just to see it, people walked the entire floor just to see it, whether they bought stuff from both sides or not. I know that they looked, which is terrific. I know that there were vintage guys that do dabble in the higher end, the prospect game of the, you're going to buy some Otanis or you're going to buy some Wembanyanas. So, that really worked, as you can get the best of both worlds.
Right. And that's the beauty of that they can see vintage that they've never seen before. Some of the modern people have never seen a nice Mickey Mantle rookie. They've never seen some great, crisp 1952 Topps cards that look like they were just opened. So they can see that. Then they can come around the corner and see, start at my table with the LeBron Topps Chrome on open wax. And then, Curry rookies and an Otani auto. And then you just go on down the line. And so it was, they could chop and buy and dig and do whatever they want, but they could also enjoy that almost day at the museum and get to see stuff that they only get to see in pictures.
Yeah, I agree with Tom. He almost actually used the same word, museum. Guys could come over. I mean, some of the vintage stuff cards were unreal, what some guys had. Even guy right next to me, I mean, some of the tobacco cards and pre-war stuff, just the kind of thing, he was the only guy in the room with it. And I saw at least 352 Mantles in the room, one graded a 7. So some really high-end stuff. So if you just like sports or just want to, like Tom said, walk around, it's almost like being at a museum. Even if you're not going to buy it, it's just still really cool to look at it. Even for a guy like myself who does it, some of those things, it's amazing what people have. So
it was really cool. One of the biggest compliments for me personally that I heard, because there was a couple comments towards this vein. People had said that this feels like the National, and it has a national vibe. Now, as somebody who's literally drawn the floor plan for the National, I know it's not even remotely close in size and scale, but the vibe and the feeling of walking in that room and seeing things you've never seen before. And conversely, there were comments along the lines of it feels like the National, but it's much more intimate in the sense that it was regionalized. At the National, you have everything, and it's chaos and even controlled chaos between breakers and vintage, and it's all kind of scattered about. Where this had a more, they had the pavilion feel. It had more regionalized, Guardians, Cavaliers, Brown stuff. It felt like it was catered more towards the product of the regionalized attendees. And I just, you guys have done shows, for not to date you guys, you've done shows a long time. Tom, you referenced that in your video. You've seen a lot of shows. Where does this one compare on those levels?
And again, we will take the National out because nothing can compare to the National ever.
That's right.
So we take that out. Your mainstays used to be Chicago and Chantilly and the Philly show. And with this combination, this has got to be right up there. Maybe you get in 5 to 10 more strong modern guys with a bunch of the high-end stuff, and then it matches Chicago, because all the guys that do Chicago for vintage were already there doing vintage. So if the modern game gets stepped up from that standpoint a little bit, now that doesn't do a lot for the customers except to get to see that stuff, because they don't have the funds to purchase that because it's crazy money. But this show again, and not because you guys are my friends and I've known you for years. It just top to bottom, start to finish, extremely well produced, and I thank you both for that.
Yeah, what's cool, like the Philly show and Chantilly and the Chicago, like you said, that those shows have been around for 30 plus years. And while they do have the huge vintage population, they don't have all of them. And I think that the Strongsville show is very unique because it's a show that people wait once a year for, right? Like not people aren't flying in from Australia to go every year to Philly. Philly's 4 times a year, right? Chantilly was several times a year. Chicago's twice a year. The Strongsville show is once a year. And when I reference Australia, there's a guy that came in from Australia just for this show. And he came last year, and I think even the year before, because you don't get every single one of those Strongsville vendors in one room at one time, especially when, Philly's the same weekend as Dallas or Chicago, right? That happens. Nothing really goes up against this one that people will miss. And that's why with the Great Lakes side, it was a perfect match. And I think people will see this, and next year, we do look for other vendors to come from out of the area just to be able to be a part of this.
Absolutely, I could see that. And the rumor was Chantilly just canceled their entire show because they didn't want to compete against you guys.
I get it.
Yeah, that is a rumor.
Maybe I just started it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe you bought the building.
Yeah.
I thanks for buying that building, Tom.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So you're talking about those shows. Strongsville is the longest running vintage show in the country. Great Lakes, this is the 4th year. And I want to direct this initially to Mike on the vintage side. One of the things that's interesting to me that I've seen is the vintage community is really strong. As Greeny said, there are individuals that travel from all over the world. They come in once a year. They're connecting and meeting guys that they share this bond with, and gals for that matter. They collect vintage. There's a real strong community. The modern side, either by age, because inherently it's a younger collecting group, or the TCG has just really come on strong. There's really high energy, but it's a fractionalized community. And so what can the vintage dealers teach the modern side? What can they learn from building community in the hobby? And as you referenced earlier, the next generation that is coming up, what can they learn and apply those lessons as they collect over the next 30, 40, 50 years?
Oh boy, that's a great question. Wow, that's a great question. I'm not even sure how to answer that question. I don't know a lot about the newer market. So they're, different people and different, I guess for me, I don't know. That's a tough question to answer, to be honest with you. I actually might throw that back to Tom and ask Tom what he would think of that from his side, because I'm not really sure how to answer that.
It is, Mike, I think, and you'll agree with me on this, it is treating every single customer the same, whether they're spending $1 at your booth or $10,000 at your booth. Yeah. And you give them the attention that they deserve. You're not pushy on a sales thing. I never say, what can I help you find? I just say, hey, let me know if you need anything. And then just whether they're spending a $10 bill or $100 bills, you just treat them all the same and rinse and repeat that show after show after show. And then you will get that reputation amongst them that, oh, that guy was nice. That guy talked to me. That guy treated me the same, whether I spent $20 or $200, like in the video you showed, my dollar boxes were incredibly strong this week and people were buying 2, 3, 4, 500 at a time. That can start to weigh a little bit. Like, hey, if you guys want, you just leave it here on my backup table, put your name on it, put your phone number on it in case you forget it. And you don't have to carry it around the show. You can come back and get it. And to me, that's just commonplace. That's what I do. They had never encountered that before. And was a little blown away by it, again, just by the, just willingness to help them, not have to carry that around, but just treating them like a human being.
Yeah, we, and I say we as in Jeremy and I, and other promoters do this too. We like to walk around and give that same kind of vibe to the vendors. We walk around to every vendor and thank them for coming. I hope other show guys do that too, but it's really the same concept, and that's why our shows, we hope, are different than others because of the customer experience. Because at the end of the day, you guys are our customers, right? We want you to have a great experience at the show. So, we go around and do that just as you guys do that for the people that come through the doors, and we hope that everybody has the same reflection on the show, whether they're a vendor customer or a customer coming in to purchase from the vendors.
Yeah, I feel like, Greeny, to add on to that, our role as a producer, or my role, is to create an atmosphere of commerce. It's to address all the things, providing a quality venue, traffic flow, information, communication from the websites to social media, all the things that people can be aware that the show is happening, the who, what, when, where, and why, and allow commerce to take place. And from there, it's I think not necessarily the onus, but the responsibility becomes on the vendors. What are you offering? How are you presenting your cards? How are you communicating with the attendees? But it seemed like there was a lot of commerce this weekend. Without getting into numbers, what was the general vibe from each side on how the dealers did at this show?
I
Go
don't.
ahead, Mike. Or
No.
Sorry. I have not heard a negative word from any of the modern guys. Everything has been positive. And again, in this industry, in this market, if you can't sell cards, you better look at how you're doing business personally. Because it is that strong of a market right now.
I would agree with Tom. I mean, like I said earlier, some of the initial complaints about, different things, parking and, all the other stuff and whatever. Once the show opened, people started spending money. You heard no complaints. I didn't talk to a single dealer that had any complaint about their sales or, attendance or anything. To Tom's point, I think if you're setting up at a show like this and you're not selling cards, then yeah, you need to look around and say, how am I doing business? Or maybe I need to be doing something else. Because right now the market it's as good as it's been that I've ever seen. So, from the vintage side, same as the modern, everybody I talked to through the weekend was very happy. I didn't hear one complaint.
It's the most important thing Greeny's ever said.
That's the smartest he's ever sounded.
That's right. Yep. We should more of that. More of that.
Please.
Yes.
There you have it.
Go ahead, Greeny.
I said that's really all you can ask, right? Sure, there's a few nitpicking things in here, but for the most part, you're right. If nobody's complaining, I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah. And just for the record, a lot of the nitpicking things I think probably came from our side of the room. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm guessing.
That's 100% because vintage guys are you can't please them.
You're absolutely right, Tom.
We did please them this time. They had a good show. Absolutely. You know what? When I walked around and talked and, I asked questions and I get my poster signed, like, well, how are we all going to get out of here? There's 3 doors. You know what? People got out of there quick. We had people in, we had people helping. And if you saw my last video at 7:48 p.m., that building was empty. Mm-hmm. And the show ended at 4. It took less than 4 hours to get 500 tables of vendors out of that building. I mean, that's pretty good.
You guys were there on on the in, certainly on the out, but early on the in, I just marvel at how seamlessly the two production teams came together from Strongsville and Great Lakes. And again, you hope for the best. Each show has its own way of doing things, and historically, and decision making, and staff, and the way it came together, I was blown away even on site in the moment on just how everybody seemed to fill a role, and a critical role, but combined, each team had the capability or the staff to step in and handle whatever that might be, from managing the autograph pavilion to the live stage production, to moving in all of the 500 tables, getting them set up, marking the floor in time for all the vendors to come in, and then, as Greeny said, getting them out. And so I want to compliment the Strongsville side again, and as well as the Greeny team, of just coming in with a spirit of cooperation and saying this will work, and whatever doesn't, we'll figure out how to make it better.
You know, and I was also talking to another vendor there, and I heard, you know, a little bit about the parking, and then some people's on their streets or the driveway. And I'm like, maybe next year you let those neighborhoods know when the show is, and they have a neighborhood yard sale that weekend. They will get so much extra traffic at it.
There you go. Have them dig out their cards from their basement.
Absolutely.
And quite frankly, we had a great weather weekend. I know it rained a little bit on Friday, but you know, it was nice and chilly, but it was sunny and not raining Saturday and Sunday. So, you know, yeah, it'd be a great weekend for a yard sale.
Absolutely.
Good deal.
Mike, did you go to the trade night on Saturday night as part of the vintage?
I did not. Crew? I actually had dinner with my dad and brother and sister that night, or I would have, you know, had a couple of people ask me if I was going, but I did not.
Yeah, not to put you on the spot on that. I just everything I'd heard was really positive. That over the last 3 or 4 years that's taken place, it's kind of doubled every year in attendance and engagement. And to me, that inherently speaks to some of the community aspect I was talking about earlier. But yeah, it's well, for you guys personally, what was sort of the best moment or personal interaction that you might have had with a client or a deal on the floor? Go ahead, Tom.
You know, it was there was a young man and his father came in, and they were modern, and they go through, you know, the gymnasium and then walk through the hallway, and then they come in and they're just smacked in the face with, you know, 250 vintage tables, and I think it was kind of like a deer in the headlight stare. And then they come around to the modern side, and I'm the first person they see. And he buys some cards out of the dollar box, and then he asks if I buy, and I don't buy a lot when I'm setting up at a show, but we continued chatting. And I'm just like, you know, what do you have? And he goes, well, I don't know how to go about this. And I said, well, it's really simple. You just tell me what you need, and I'll tell you yes or no. It's, you know, I know this is how we make our living, but this is a baseball card. None of us need it. We want it, we like it, we enjoy it, but we don't need it. So let's just keep it simple. So he just started saying, I need X for this card and Y for this pile. And I said, absolutely, or no, thank you, or can I make you an offer? And this was his first time ever selling any of his stuff. And he was like, you've made this so simple and easy. And it was so rewarding for him. They came back again on Sunday to bring me some more stuff. And they came right to my table first, which I was very appreciative of. Bought from them again. And they went around and was able to take that money I gave him and buy some stuff for his collection and just enjoy it. So that was a very fun interaction with somebody I did not know prior to the show.
And Mike, I know you had some interactions. I had a good time bringing Katie Moon, our Olympic athlete, to your table. And, you know, I know that you got to have some other interactions with some other people. So, yeah, it was a pretty good show all around. And we appreciate both you guys coming to the show. Finally got Mike. I know it technically wasn't my show on that side, but I finally got you to one of our
We'll
shows.
count it. It's all right. We'll count it.
So yeah, we will count that, and we'll have you back next year.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon, either in Charleston for the Mountain State or at the National here at the end of July and August. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this weekend and tonight.
Thanks for a great weekend, boys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, great.
Yep.
Yeah, really great job this weekend. Fantastic.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
All righty. Thank you.
Our thanks to Mike and Tom for joining us. Again, Greeny can't do these shows without sponsors, vendors, attendees. So we can't do this show without our sponsors either. And we want to thank Giannino's Pizzeria.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. I'm a year older now, so Mommy can give me Giannino's pizza. Hey, whoever thought of making a great tasting Giannino's pizza with all these fresh ingredients? They gotta be some kind of genius. More, Mommy.
Every Giannino's pizza is made with fresh dough, delicious tomato sauce without additives or preservatives, and fresh provolone cheese shredded daily. For a location near you, go to Gianninos.com.
You want a piece of me?
Had some Giannino's over the weekend.
I did. We actually had Giannino's at the show.
Yep.
Gus brought us some pizza Saturday or Friday to the show, and we got to eat that in the room, and then Adam and the guys had it at the table.
It hit the spot, man, right when we needed it. All of it did. The food trucks were tremendous. Giannino's Pizza, we appreciate stepping up. And we also want to thank Sport Card Auctions and Consignment. If you are looking to turn your collection into serious cash and you can't make it out to a show, make sure you hit sportcardauctions.com. They'll make it simple, professional authentication and auction services. You just ship your cards. Their team will handle the rest. They've got over 15 years of experience. Send them your vintage cards, your modern cards, your TCG cards, and give your cards the spotlight they deserve, consigning at sportcardauctions.com. So thanks to Dave Cook and his team. And Greeny, we also want to thank Kenny Rhoda for joining us as a special correspondent. There were, I know I'm going to forget people because it was all a blur, Greeny, but I saw Anthony Lima, Hayden Grove, Al Pulowski, Curtis Danberg and his father Rick Danberg came out, Bobby D, Bob DiBiasio, both guys from the Guardians, Nick Wilson, Big Play Dave, Nick Padone, Daryl Ryder, John Doss, J.W. Johnson, managing partner for the Cleveland Browns, Kenny Rhoda, Sendy, Coach Senderhoff, Andy Baskin, Tim Banaszak, Major League Fine, and his daughter Brooke were there. Big Show, Lonnie Atkins, Mr. Trade Night, aka Mr. Trade Night.
The Dude Network
players. I know I'm gonna
Tony and Johnsy from the Dude Network.
From the Dude
I can't wait to see that video that Drew took of them walking around.
Just amazing stuff everywhere you turn. It was people passionate about collecting. So we know Roadman's passionate about it too. He's been doing his Ripping with the Roadman segments along with cards from Greeny Sports Cards, and he caught up with Hall of Famer Joe Thomas at the Great Lakes Collectors Convention presented by Greeny Sports Cards.
All right, how cool is it here? We're at the Great Lakes Collectors Convention. He just got done signing autographs for like hundreds of people here. Hall of Famer Joe Thomas joining us here at the Great Lakes Collectors Convention. And we're going to do a Rippin' with the Roadman. We're going to rip some cards courtesy of Greeny Sports Cards and see who we might pull out of this. What is this? A Panini's 2025 Score Edition. First of all, thanks for making time for us. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, did you enjoy meeting all your fans here that came out to see you?
It was a great day. We had a huge line out there, lots of great fans that were excited about the Browns season next year, excited about the draft.
Coming up, and we're going to get to the draft here in a second after we rip some cards. But before we get to all of that, the last time I saw you was at training camp, and you were passing out some delicious sausages and meats from Hall of Fame Meats. Share with our listeners, our viewers, and everybody here at the Great Lakes Collectors Convention about what you're doing now that's your passion.
Yeah, so I went from the field to the farm field, and so now we're raising Wagyu and Angus beef on my farm, vertically integrated, so we do all of our own processing, and we make all the steaks you can imagine, and then, of course, our Hall of Fame jerky, Hall of Fame beef sticks, hot dogs, cheddar wurst, summer sausage, all those delicious morsels that the kids are fighting each other for when they get home from school, those amazing snacks. You can get it all at halloffamebeef.com.
You're not the first Hall of Famer, though, to dive into this, and I told you earlier
Yeah.
today, we did an interview on the Kenny and JT show on WHBC with Hall of Famer Earl Campbell, and he has Earl Campbell meats out of Texas. I've got to hook you two up. Maybe you guys can, get in a store together or something like that.
That'd be exciting. I know that down in Texas they do some amazing sausage. Obviously, their smoked brisket game is world-renowned, and so if we could tap into that market and get together with Earl, that'd be really fun.
I think we need to make that a reality TV show, Joe Thomas. With everything that's on reality TV, Joe Thomas and Earl Campbell meets. I think that's a TV show waiting to happen.
Well, we'll have to get them out to the farm. We're actually starting to film our docuseries right now about my life going from football to farming and then raising a Hall of Fame Farms vertically integrated meat business, which is not so easy,
Right.
and the struggles of all those things. So it'd be fun to have him on for an episode.
Absolutely. So I'll get you his contact information after, but let's rip some cards, and then we'll
Let's
get
do
into
it.
some draft stuff, all right? So you go ahead. You start.
All right,
rip
here we go.
these, yeah, for courtesy of Greeny Sports Cards.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got, and then I'll see what I pulled here.
So I'm not going to say this first one because I can't pronounce the name.
Yeah.
Maybe you can help me there.
Yeah, that would be Mr. Ursary. How's
Okay, that sounds good. Well, we got a good one right here. I guess if you're a Bengals fan, we got a Joe Burrow card.
Nice.
I mean, that's got to be in-demand card. I know my son would be excited. He's a humongous
You're
sports
taking that
card
home with
collector.
you then, for
taking
sure.
that one home with me. Caden Prather.
Okay.
We got a Saquon Barkley, Eagles, right?
That's one that
Leonard
goes home.
Williams, Seattle Seahawks. Jake Brenningstool. Didn't have that one on my bingo card.
No.
But, I'll give that one to you. Chris Olave, of course. Isaac Garendo, Peyton Wilson,
All right.
Caleb Williams, another good one. Geno Stone, Gervon Dexter,
Nice.
Khalil Shakir, and Lade McConkey and Brian Burns. So nice pack there.
Yeah, pull that Joe Burrow up because I believe that is that a patch or a shirt card?
Yeah, it looks like they've got a patch of his jersey
All right.
on there that they cut out and put in the middle. So
Yeah,
pretty
that's
sweet
a good
little
card right
yeah.
there. So your son is going to love that. Add that to his collection. All right, let's see what I pulled
let's see
in
what you
this
got.
pack. I've got Benjamin Morrison. He's a rookie for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
Oh, this is a pretty decent one. Base card, but rookie card, Jackson Dart.
Oh, nice.
Outstanding quarterback
Yeah.
for the New York Giants. One of the league leaders here. This is Kirby Joseph, 9 interceptions. There we've got a throwback, Devon Achane, the running back for the Miami Dolphins. We're not pulling any offensive linemen here, Joe. I don't know what's going on.
Not a lot of those cards in circulation.
No,
They're
huh?
Very valuable, though.
Kenneth Walker, former running back of the Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl champs, now with the Kansas City Chiefs as a free agent this offseason. Let's see here. We've got Devontae Wicks from Green Bay. We're looking at Devin Singletary, defensive back. Nope, I take that back. Running back for the Giants. We've got Mike Allstott,
Oh,
throwback
there's a legend.
card.
Throwback right there.
Right there, yeah, big number 40, Mike Allstott. We've got Scary Terry McLaurin from the Ohio State Buckeyes. Watch this, OH.
There we go.
I'm sorry,
That's
Mr.
right.
Wisconsin.
Yep. We'll allow it.
Mark Gastineau.
Oh,
How would
the
you
sack
have blocked?
exchange.
Yeah, how would you have blocked Mark Gastineau with
I
all
probably
his
would
moves?
have short set him, try to get on him quick. Don't get him space.
There you go. See, I knew he'd have an answer. Let's see here. Wandale Robinson, wide receiver with the Giants in that pack. Nick Westbrook, a wide receiver with Miami. We've got Stephon Diggs. I don't know who he's with. He's bounced from team to team to team there. And 2 more left. Sam Darnold.
Oh, nice.
I got to admit, I was wrong on Sam Darnold. I thought his career was over. He was going to be a backup. That's why I'm in radio and I'm not working in the front office for an NFL team. He won a Super Bowl. What a great story, right?
Unbelievable story. You weren't the only one that thought his career was over because Seattle Seahawks got him for a song and a prayer. I mean, they didn't have to pay much, and now they got a Super Bowl champion, and he looks like he could be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL for a while now.
Yeah, he looks good. And A.J. Barner. So the best card, obviously, out of that pack, the Joe Burrow
Yeah, I'm
ones
feeling
that
good
you
about
saw.
that.
Yeah,
Jack's
Joe
gonna be
Burrow,
excited.
He's in the division and all that, but still, when you're collecting cards, that's what you're looking for right there. So cool on that. All right, before I let you go, Joe Thomas, I got to ask you about the draft. And the conversation is the Browns are trying to beef, pun intended, beef up the offensive line. Do you have a favorite of these Spencer Fano or Mauanuga from Miami or whoever? Do you have a favorite in this offensive line you're hoping maybe the Browns end up with?
Well, specifically for the Browns, I like Monroe Freeling. He's a left tackle. He's long. He's athletic. He's a guy that just transitions well from the college game to the NFL game playing tackle. And you look at our needs, right? We did a good job in free agency, and we've kind of bulked up the offensive line across the board. But that left tackle position is still a question mark. So I think he'd just be a great fit for the Browns, and he's a natural left tackle.
Can you give our viewers and listeners maybe an idea of what the key is to a good left tackle, because very few did it as well as you did. 10,363. Am
That's
I close?
Right. You got it.
Yeah. So, what were some of the keys that A, allowed you to play best ability, availability, and B, to do it at such a high level?
Yeah, you hit it right there. It's durability. It's can you be on the field? Can you help the team? Because I don't care how good you are, you're not helping the team if you're in the ice tub during the game. So, for the left tackle position, I think being able to play in space, you got to cover a lot more ground. If you're playing guard or center, you got a guy on either side of you, you kind of get to play in a phone booth. But as a left tackle, sometimes you have to play in a phone booth, but sometimes you got to cover 7-8 yards as your kick set and as you're creating space in that pocket for the quarterback.
Yeah, so there are tips right there. Anybody out there, coaches, take those tips. High school, college, even the NFL. Todd Munkin, get this guy in there and help him, let him help you with the offensive lineman. Hey, Joe, this was a pleasure. Thanks for ripping some cards with the road, man. Your son will be happy. Continued success with Hall of Fame meats, too.
Yeah, I appreciate it. HallOfFameBeef.com. You guys can get all the stuff that I'm raising on the farm, Wagyu and Angus, and wow yourself in your own fridge or as a gift. It's always a popular gift item. Sending a bundle of delicious Hall of Fame Wagyu to a family member, somebody you really care about, because this is some pretty good stuff. So thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun, and I get a few souvenirs to take home for Jack.
Hey, super dad now bringing
That's
something
right.
like that home, right?
Yeah, now he doesn't care that I missed the afternoon with him, so
Right,
he'll be
right.
pumped.
Yeah, Joe, thanks so much. Continued success. We appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Thanks,
How about
man.
a nice round of applause for Hall of Famer Joe Thomas, ripping
Thanks,
with
guys.
the road
Appreciate
man.
it.
Greeny Sports Cards. There you go. He's still got it in him. I love it. The Great Lakes Collectors Convention. It's only Saturday. We're here all day Sunday as well. Come on out, check it out. You never know who you'll run into.
Man. Kenny does a great job hosting chats like that, ripping with the road man with Kenny Rhoda and Hall of Famer Joe Thomas.
Really cool stuff. And that, as cool as that was, Greeny, that was like 10 minutes out of the entire weekend of just cool stuff that kept happening. So, Greeny, most of all, thank you. This doesn't happen without your commitment to events and the hobby and the team and the willingness to build an organization and take some risk. And I appreciate you. I appreciate what we've been able to build as a team together. And it was a remarkable weekend. Thanks again to all of our sponsors, to all the participants, to the Strongsville team. Tonight, thank you to Kenny Rhoda and Hall of Famer Joe Thomas. Thank you to Tom Fisher and Michael Milborn for joining us. To Haley on the board, who was with us all weekend as well out at the show. And Greeny, may the cards forever be in your favor.
Yeah, we had a lot of staff helping out, and we can't thank them enough. And the Strongsville side, we can't thank them enough. So, I mean, it takes an entire village of people, and we made it happen. And you're a big part of that. We both made it happen, along with Adam and a host of everybody else. So, with that, we do, and we will see you next Tuesday.